Welcome to another Demarcation Media Mega Construx review. It's here, guys. It is finally here. Kind of. The same way all mega sets kind of are here and then kind of aren't. So, here in front of us, in front of me in the studio right now, is the UNSC Elephant Sandnest. The real physical set at long last. This was marked to be last fall release, I believe, and then it was delayed and delayed and delayed until here we are now. It is apparently in production, and I want to preface this video by saying I really don't know where to get this. I was contacted by Popcorn 8, and he was the one that asked me if I was interested in getting a copy of these, so he may have more eventually. So just keep checking his store on Mercari. I'll put a link to his page. That is where I got it. Please don't go in the comments and ask where to buy this because I don't know right now. There are pre-orders available on, I think, Entertainment Earth might have one. I think Toy Wiz has one. But pre-orders have been iffy lately, so I don't really know. But we do know that the set is in production. It is being made. So hopefully this will show up on Mattel Creations. You know, the Banished Phantom did, and that was the last like really big set, if you want to call that a big set. But this is kind of a big deal because Mega doesn't do Sig Series or Signature Series sets anymore, but this is kind of the closest thing we have to it. So this is kind of exciting. It's been a long time since we had the last Elephant, so it was very much due for an upgrade. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be pretty cool. It does have a pretty hefty price tag, which we will talk about later. But for now, here is the box. It is sporting the new Mega branding. We can see this has 2,041 pieces. And it is actually called the UNSC Elephant Sandnest, which is funny because I thought that Sandnest was like the code name for it. But no, it's actually the Elephant Sandnest, which is kind of nice because it differentiates it from the old one. We can see our figures up here. Lord Hood, finally. Kind of an odd placement for him a little bit, but it's good to see him as a figure at long last. So the box size, I actually was expecting it to be a little larger. You can see this is a Mega figure, so it is a sizable box, but it's really thick. Look at that. There's all the figures. It's hugely thick, and it's very heavy. It is packed to the brim. Infinite Chief. We get to see that there. It does barely fit here. Oh, I didn't see that. Okay, so I think on the side here, we get two different things. So you can see here, Leviathan, and there's a certain print. Here, there's something red. That art is so cool. I love that. That is fantastic. Wow. That would have been great on the box front, but that is pretty cool. I like how they're still doing the art on the side. Yeah, it's CG, but that's pretty cool. Around the back, we get to see all the features. Master Chief, Cortana, Marine, Lord Hood, another Marine, Sergeant Johnson. It's funny, it says it fits a Warthog and two mongooses, but they use the Mongoose Outriders and the Razorback because those are the things that are in production right now. I just find that kind of funny. Like, there's a Razorback in there, and at no point would there have been a Razorback in here. So that to me is kind of funny. It looks like there's a print with truth on it. That's cool. There's a lot of empty space in there, but that's kind of the way it was for the old one. Yeah, this is exciting. This is very, very exciting. Okay, so let's get in a little closer and get this thing open. So like most new Mega boxes, it's kind of like a hinge thing. So we got some tape here. We go. Is that it? Are we good? Put my knife away real quick. Ah, yes. So, wow. Okay. There are a ton of bags. Oh, yeah, there's a screen with truth printed on it. That's so cool. This is like a treasure chest. There's so much green, so many big parts. Look at that. we know that there's at least 25 bags of pieces here. There's 3. Ah, here are the figures. Lord Hood in there. Chief Johnson. Ooh, Johnson's looking kind of nice. Oh my word, there's so much. Okay, oh dear. I just saw the treads bag. Oh, holy crap. Wow, that's going to be painful. Lots of pieces. Lots and lots of pieces. You know, it's feeling like I feel kind of like I'm getting my money's worth just in terms of parts, just looking at this, but we'll see in the end if it's worth it. Oh, more printed pieces. Wow, that's cool. More big tread pieces. Here's the big winch, a giant plate. But there's the big winch piece looking very nice. There's a lot of bright colored pieces, actually. I was not expecting that. Oh, wait, the Marines thing is all separate letters? Okay. Alright, alright. Oh, there's the Cortana. She looks pretty darn good, actually. That's nice. I know Serena had some pretty bad print errors, but that looks nice. Holy crap, why are the instructions so wide? Oh, wow. Okay, let me close this. Oh, wait, there's more art? Hang on. Okay, we gotta look at this. Look at that. That is kind of sick, actually. I am on board with this. That's really cool. Let's see, is there anything on the other side? Okay, here it just shows you how to open up the elephant. Okay, so let me close this now. This is overtaking my studio. Oh, whoops. I missed this. Box is a little dinged up. There's a hole in it, but I don't particularly care. Okay, so now let me grab the instructions. These things are huge. Absolutely massive. Alrighty. Oh, okay, yep. So let's see, is there anything particularly stand out at the end? Just kind of the same art as on the box. Yeah, it shows you how to fit the razor back in there. That's super weird. Okay. Yeah, it looks like that's about it in there. And yep, we do get 2 different tiles for the like markings on the side. There's a lot of printed pieces. This is exciting. This is very, very exciting. So let me go ahead and get this built, which is probably going to take multiple hours for me. I mean, look at this. This is actually insane. Oh my gosh, it won't even stay all in there. So, I am going to spend the next probably 2 hours building, but for you guys, it is going to be as quick as this. And there it is. The elephant is all complete. That was about 4 hours of building, roughly. And it was not an easy build exactly, but it also wasn't like a really surprising one. If you've built the Halo Infinite Pelican, you'll kind of have a general idea of how this goes together. The tolerance on the parts is feeling a little bit more like old Mega, like sticking them together is a little bit of a pain, although the Pelican did have that in some ways, so it's not entirely surprising. There's definitely some fiddly bits to this build and some difficult spots, a few odd things, but as a whole, it really does seem to be an improvement over the old Elephant. And we'll talk about that more later. I don't have the old Elephant anymore. I did have it briefly. There was a haul video where I got it. I'll pop the link in the description or something. And so I had it briefly. There was a lot of stickers on that, if I remember correctly. And there are no stickers on this at all. So that's a really huge plus. And just in general, the design has gotten better. So, yeah, let's go ahead and we'll just jump in. We have a little pile of extras to look at real quick before we get to the figures, though. So this is what you get in terms of extras. This is to help you assemble the treads. You can kind of lay them across here. It makes it a little easier, so I appreciate that. Plus, you just end up with some orange pieces. You get a brick separator, which I guess from now on I will never say I don't need a brick separator, because last time I said I did need one, I did end up needing it. And this did come in handy. So we have that. We have this, which is a extra printed piece that will come in handy later. So we're going to set that aside. We got some just extra support pieces that you use while you're building. And then a bunch of just little green pieces, pretty much. You know, just random little extras. There's a rubber band. So pretty large pile, but a pretty standard pile as a whole, with the exception of this piece. So let's go ahead and hop over to looking at the figures. Our first figure is the one and only Master Chief. This guy is a fairly standard or fairly classic version of Chief. This is the Halo 3 Chief. He comes with a tan stand. He comes armed with the older style of battle rifle, which is pretty nice. Just all black, but it's a nice piece to get. And then he's just got his standard Halo 2 and 3 armor. And it's all in this metallic green, which it seems to have less of a variation between the greens. There's still a little bit, but it's not the worst that I've seen from Mega. So that's nice. And he's got the scar print on his armor up here. I would have liked to see some more scratches or dings, something to make him stand out a little bit more. Especially because we have the Floodgate Firefight, which has the same Chief, but with splatters. So, I don't know. It would have been nice to see a little bit more detail. For some reason, I thought there was going to be more detail. I don't know why I thought that. But I don't know if it's just me, but the molds, especially for like the shoulders, do seem sharper than usual. So I don't know. Maybe they've updated some of these molds. I could be just seeing things, but the back and the shoulders and the lower legs seem extra sharp. And then the thighs seem a little less sharp than usual, especially this one. I don't know. Again, that could just be me. But it's a pretty nice looking version of Chief. Let me get in real close to his head so you can see that. I was a little worried when I first saw photos of this guy leaked from one of those Chinese resellers. The visor looked really thin. And while it is a light gold, there's not a huge contrast between the green and the gold. It is very well applied. Pretty sharper along the edges. We got the black print for like the nose area. Black on the sides. It looks pretty good overall. I'm pretty pleased with that. My only complaint is the nub mark back here is pretty ugly. But other than that, it's a pretty nice looking Chief. Pretty standard. Again, I was hoping for a little bit more detail, but not bad. I don't know, is this, you see these lines here. I don't know if that's supposed to be there or if that's molding stuff. But yeah, not bad. If you don't have a Halo 3 Chief, this is a good way to get it. The last time we had a really standard release one, I think, was the Versus pack, which was kind of Halo 2, but it was the same armor. So it's been a while. And then obviously there's the Flood one, but that one's hard to get. So this is not a bad figure to get. Mine does have the infamous hand issue, unfortunately, but I do know how to fix that, and I have a tutorial on how to fix it. It's just a pain. But other than that, quality control seems pretty tight for this guy. Following close on the heels of Chief, we have another legendary character, Sergeant Johnson. He has made his return. Well, it's just technically like the second time we've seen him recently. This is the Halo 2 and 3 version, whereas we got the CE version recently. But it's really nice to get this version again because this is kind of his classic version. The CE version is a little bit less known, I would say. just in general, it's not really as iconic. That's more like what I'm trying to say here. CE version's not as iconic. This is kind of his iconic look. So he's kitted out pretty much exactly like a Marine, except he's got the Johnson head. You can see the new Marine gear. I really love this green. I think it's fantastic. I know there are some of you guys who would prefer the old metallic green, but I do like how he looks different from Chief. Chief looks like he's more metallic and armored, whereas Johnson looks like he's got just the smaller armor, and the green difference, I think, helps that. And then, of course, his head is, I think, the thing that really, really matters here, so let's look at that. There we go. So his skin tone is not bad. It's a little shiny. I would have preferred maybe more matte skin tone, but that's not terrible. The eyes are a little bit squinted. It's so hard to see under the brim of his hat. Turn it upside down. You can see his eyes are a little squinted. There's the white in there. So it's not bad. I'd say his eyes look pretty good. He's got his mustache looking good as well. He's got a little UNSC symbol on the top of his hat. It's a little blurry, but you can tell what it is. And then he's got hair printed around the back, which looks good. His hat does not come off. For those of you who are wondering, I think I saw something a while back about people saying that Johnson's hat was going to come off in this set. No, it's just the same Johnson head mold that we've seen before. I'm not sure why Mega would have done a new one just for him to remove his hat, because his face is kind of a distinct shape. So yeah, he looks pretty good. I am curious to see what he looks like next to the one from the Marauder, because the Marauder Johnson was pretty darn good. So that will be a video for the future. But as it is, not a bad figure. Quality control wise, he looks pretty good. Comes with a stand. Got a little bit of a gap between the like waist unit and the torso, but I don't really know if that's enough to call it a quality control problem. And he comes armed with an SMG. We can't have a troop carrier without some troops, so here is a Halo 3 Marine using the new style of helmet. Interestingly enough, this helmet has a lot more detail printed on it than the blind bags version. So here is the blind bag figure. And you can see there is a bunch of extra gray printed on the elephant version. And honestly, that's going to be a little irritating, because the blind bags are really the way to army build these, unless Mega releases a like platoon pack or something, or Warthog, which is possible, and we'll talk about that in the future, or in like when I say the future, I mean like 10 or so minutes. But yeah, so the majority of the Marines will look like this guy because this is the easier one to get, and then we have these ones. It does make these guys exclusive and a little bit more desirable purely because of the helmet, but it is going to be difficult to army build this type. So that's a little frustrating. The visor is printed okay. There's a little bit of gold splattered up here. The gray is a little hazy on the edges. It's not super sharp, but I do like the way it's in the indent on the side and around the back. That looks pretty nice. And this piece is just fantastic. I think it's just really good all around. And then this head is, I believe, so I thought it was the same mold as this, but it looks smaller. So I'm wondering if Mega downsized it, or maybe this is just a different head mold entirely. I'm not sure. Mega has so many now, I can't quite tell. But yeah, his face looks pretty good. Kind of has a derpy expression, but looks good. His eyebrows are printed well. I think the last version of this head that I got, the eyebrows were printed like in the eyes, and it was actually pretty funny looking. I don't love this head mold with this armor because the chin hits the chest plate kind of a lot, but that's not horrible. He still looks pretty good. The helmet does sit a little loosely, so if you want to turn the head, you're turning the helmet first. I think that's a little frustrating. I don't feel like the Infinite Marine helmets do that as much, but it kind of is what it is. And this guy is also not sporting any gloves, so it looks like Mega's just saying no gloves for the Halo 3 Marines at all. He's got the printed boots, which is fantastic, and he's wielding a shotgun, which is one of the thicker more robust ones that you can actually have the figure hold the pump handle. So here is the second Marine of the set. There's only two, unfortunately. This guy has more of a like olive skin tone, which is pretty cool. I like that. I like the skin tone variation. He's armed with an AR. Interestingly, though, this head, I believe, was originally made for a female Marine. If I'm remembering correctly, it came with the platoon pack first on a female Marine. But this time, they're using it on a guy. And I know it's a guy because they're using the male torso. And it's a little odd to me. This doesn't necessarily look like a female head. It's just, I think that's how they were originally meaning for it to be. But this is pretty cool because it has hair. And okay, I could be wrong looking at it. This might be a new head, but I'm pretty darn sure it is the one from the platoon pack. It's also smaller than the other Marine's head by a decent bit. So that also kind of makes it look a little bit more like a female head. But I do like this. It does make this guy look like a younger Marine, perhaps. But I'm liking the fact that there's hair. That, to me, is super good because it's actually worth, taking the helmet off because he's got hair. Whereas this guy, I mean, you can take it off, but he's just kind of bald. And that's just... Eventually, it's a little weird to have like a million bald Marines. So I think this is a good step for Mega. I'd love to see more. And I think maybe giving this guy a little bit of like stubble or something might have helped differentiate this head. But it does make it a little bit more versatile if you want to pop and swap it. Yeah, I think it's pretty well done. The hair is printed well. The eyes and the eyebrows are printed well. The helmet is done okay. The gold is a little meh again. A little bit smeary on the side. Not horrible. And the gray is a little bit soft there. But as a whole, this guy looks pretty good. It really did look like this was going to be a female Marine based on the box pictures. But nope. And now the last but not the least figure is Lord Hood. This guy has been a long time coming. Like a really long time coming. And his inclusion, from what I saw, there was a lot of excitement about it. It's a little odd that he's just included randomly in an elephant, but I'm not really going to complain because it's been a long time coming, like I said. And I think Mega did a good job here. This honestly could be a Heroes figure. Give him a printed Magnum, and yeah, he's good to go. You can see the medals on his chest. He's got all the straps printed black. You've got the gold there. His hat is, I believe, from the Call of Duty line because it is removable on the T-Peg system. So if you want to do that, okay, I don't want to fight with it. But yeah, it's theoretically removable. I think Kevin said that they didn't really mean it to be removable, but because of the T-Peg system, it is. So that's pretty cool. I think it looks good. I think it works out well. It's pretty much perfect. He has the same torso as Keys. I almost said Lasky. Keys. Keys' uniform looks kind of drab next to Hood's pure white. But yeah, it's the same torso. Same general base as a whole. But this is fantastic because we also have Miranda, although her variations have been fairly hit or miss, mostly miss in the head category. But both of these guys look pretty nice to me. And we'll get in closer to Hood's face in a second. But yeah, I like this because I would love to see more crew members, more like UNSC personnel that aren't Marines or Spartans. So I think this is a good step in that direction. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, let's get in closer and look at his face. There we go. It's really hard to see, especially because of the brim of his hat. But you can see his eyes under there. They look a little bit scared. And this side looks like it has a little bit of dark around the eye, which is odd. And there's a little bit of a soft spread to it. But I don't think it looks bad. I think it's actually pretty solid looking for what it is. I'm not looking at it and going, ooh, that's a horrible face. I was a little worried he was going to look bad, but He looks kind of like he's seen things, but he probably has seen, as you know, the war was pretty long and terrible. So I think it's pretty good. I don't know if this is a new head mold per se, but it looks pretty close to me. Maybe a little too wide, but yeah, I'd say this is pretty nice looking. It's really hard to get on camera, like the light angled right, so that you can see the eyes without him looking like shell-shocked. But yeah, in person, it looks a little better. Pretty solid. You can see the hat a little better here. He's got the symbol up there, and you can see his medals as well. Overall, I'd say Mega did this character justice, and he really could be a hero's figure. I mean, it's essentially the same formula as Keys, just done a little differently. Really quick, here is the Blind Bag Marine and Sergeant Stacker with the rest of the new Halo 3 armor gang. I think they all look pretty nice. Johnson's head does look a little small compared to the rest, but as a whole, I'd say these guys look pretty nice together. And now let's look at the elephant itself. It's pretty big. So let me drop in Johnson here. Without his stand, he's down here. So that's pretty small. And I think that's pretty close to proper size. I think maybe the Mega version is a little smaller than the in-game version, but all the pictures I could see, the Marines generally stood their head level with these treads. So I think that's pretty close. About as close as we could expect them to get. And there's a lot of stuff here that I'm pretty sure is updated. The standouts to me are like this. This is more brick built, and there's like actual angling to it. This stuff is built gray instead of having like stickers, because I believe the old one had stickers there. There's a lot of printing. This right here is all separate letters. Each letter is separate, so you can spell all kinds of stuff with that, and you don't have to worry about like one thing being printed off or whatever, because you can just swap it out. So that's really cool. We have this little thing here that says Leviathan, and that's what we have this for. I noticed on the pictures that they had showed it swapped before I had even gotten this. So you can do this, and then it now has become the Behemoth. So you can swap that however you want it. I don't really know if this has any in-game significance. It almost looks like multiplayer or something, like red versus blue sort of thing. Maybe somebody could tell me. But I think that's pretty cool that we can swap it out. That's pretty nice. The Leviathan is the one that it tells you to build it with to start off, so we're going to leave that for now. Some of the other differences here is there's no longer a second one of these. There was for the old one, there was one of these here and here. Now there's a chain gun on a stand, so it's got the gray stand, gray or black chain gun, and green guard panel, which is cool. However, Mega once again did not include the handles for it. So none of the figures can operate it, which is really a bummer, and it's starting to really annoy me. This is 2 sets they've done this with now, making the chain gun useless until you take it off the stand. That's annoying. That's really annoying, Mega. Please stop doing that. We have a bunch of tools on the outside, which is cool. We get a pickaxe on this side and like a maul. There's a backpack here. There's a fuel canister. I will say, though, these tend to fall out a lot. These ones on this side clip a little better than the ones on the other side, but yeah, bump it wrong and they will fall off. We got some more prints here, extra treads, which the treads are the biggest improvement. This is the new plastic tread system. You get 104 of these little plastic treads, which I will say it's kind of painful to put them together, but you don't have to worry about the same issue with the old Elephant. If the treads broke, that was it. It was rubber. They would dry rot and they would break a lot. You'd have to try and glue them. It was bad. But now you can just put them back together. You have the extras hanging on the outside, and it's pretty good. My only complaint is basically the same complaint I had with the Scorpion, and that is on hard surfaces, this doesn't roll that well. I think some rubber pegs to stick in those little square holes would have been nice to give it some grip, but that's not a deal breaker here. Got a 5 printed there. Turn it around to the back. You can drop down this ramp. And then if you want to see inside, that's a ramp that should go down. You just kind of pop this, it swings out. Pop that, it also swings out. Look at that. So then we have some tools here, tools here, a little bit of detail. Overall, it's fairly empty in here. Like as a whole, it's empty. But that is to fit some vehicles, which we'll look at later. We got some lights. Then you can kind of go up here and go up into the cab area, which I believe is a little... It's a little like the ceiling hits their head. It does slope up though, so you can remove the roof, and we'll do that in a minute. But I just want to kind of circle around this, show off the whole thing. The giant crane piece returns. This and the tread pieces, I believe, are exactly the same from the old Elephant. In fact, the tread pieces, like the big assemblies that you put the treads on, even say Mega Blocks still. So that's pretty funny. But yeah, this can like rotate all the way around. You can pull it in like that, out like that. The spool is on the back, so you can wind it up or wind it down. And there's a little peg here, so you can put a crate on there if you want. There are crates included. Around here, these are the annoying ones. These things want to keep coming out. See, it just kind of... Yeah, that. It doesn't really stick at all. For some reason, these clips don't really have clutch power. So that's kind of frustrating. We have a printed UNSC tile here, which is super useful if you want to take that off, use it elsewhere. All of this gray, like up here, this angle, and even on the other side, that's a bunch of printed bricks. So Omega has gone all out on the printing. There's prints here, print here, print here. They went nuts. And then around the front, it says Marines. You can see in there, there's a printed console, which we'll try and get a look at. There's also a crate right here that's also full of extra treads. You can kind of see some of the parts are separated a little bit. It's what I was talking about, like the tolerance. It's hard to get them to stick properly. Got a big light up here. Tons and tons of these grate pieces, which I think are fantastic. So yeah, that's kind of generally the whole overview. So let's get into some of the little nitty-gritty details. The first thing I wanted to look at was this computer console thing. So we got some more printed stuff here. And then these are two pieces that are sandwiched together. It's those pieces that they used to use for like the Promethean light bridges. And the way they have it built, some of the print is covered, but there's like words. There's a readout of the elephant showing the gun. There's like the measurement of it, which might be the actual measurement of the set. I'm not sure. And then here's the interesting part. Down here we have a mongoose and a warthog. And the mongoose just looks like the normal mongoose that we have. This one. It just looks like this one right here. The warthog, though, looks to be the same type as what's coming in the multiplayer Mayhem set, because it has the square like gun guard. And so far we don't have a warthog within the past couple years that has that design. So I'm wondering if maybe this means we're seeing another hog coming soon, like a Halo 3 style hog. Maybe a way to get some more Marines. That's what I was thinking. Maybe some more of the Marines with the printed helmet, perhaps. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But this kind of goes in here. And then there's a bunch of clips. You clip it like that. And then it's kind of hard to see. There we go. Then you can swing it back and forth. So this can actually get out of the way completely and just kind of go onto the wall for when you want to load up extra vehicles, which we'll look at that in a little bit. But I think that's pretty cool. I like that detail, and I'm very intrigued to see if that hog becomes an actual set. Moving up the ramp to the like main cockpit, this just pops right off. It's just held on by two studs, and then there is a control panel in there. You can see there's two throttles which can be moved back and forth, because that's how the piece works, and it's pretty cool. It's just a clip and a bar on this piece. So let me grab, we'll grab Johnson. So if he's standing in here to drive, unfortunately the person does just have to stand, but then we can grab the roof again. And can we get him to fit with the roof on? That is the goal here. we want somebody to be able to drive. It's a little bit of an awkward pose, but let's give it another shot. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go, he's in there. Like I said, it's a little too low for the figures to walk in and out standing upright. They will bump their head, but it works out pretty well, and I like that there's a little bit of detail in there. There's just a lot of smooth, or not smooth, studded, empty studded area. So there's that. But over here, we have the walkway, which looks really nice, and then kind of pans all the way to here. And then there's the print for the crane arm, which looks pretty nice. And speaking of the crane arm, we need to get it out of the way, because then here, this is also like an area to go. There's no door though, which is kind of frustrating, but there is a trigger here. And if you push this trigger, wait, let me move the gun. It's going to obliterate the gun if I don't. If you push the trigger, ta-da! So there's that printed piece with truth. And for some reason, Mega has put a rubber band, and you put it like under this piece here so that it can spring up. I think that's a little weird, and I think the rubber band will most likely wear out and break fairly quickly just because it's always under pressure. But that's super cool. That is a super, super useful piece. It's like Truth's monologue on the screen, and you can see there's a little bit of a console down there. And then there is Cortana, who is done pretty well, which we're going to pull her out because I want to look at her up close and want to get her side by side with the one from the Master Chief collection. But in there, you have a little projector for Cortana. This crate is full of grenades, is 4, and then there's a fusion cell in there. And then it just kind of closes up. So I imagine you probably can store a figure in there, but I also imagine that they cannot be standing up when you close it. So, wow, he just like fell out of his helmet. Come on, buddy. Anyway, if you wanted to store a figure in there, you'd have to have them laying down. So there's that. That's mostly a storage area, I would imagine, but the screen in there is pretty darn cool. Alrighty, there we go. So this one on the left is from the Master Chief collection, and it's kind of a hybrid. It's a little bit like Halo 4-esque, but also like Halo 1 through, well, not 1. 1 was pink, but Halo 2 and 3. So it's a little hard to tell exactly which version this is, but she's on a clear base, and I think that was because of the lights. This one is all translucent blue, and this is very clearly the Halo 2 and 3 version. I mean, they're fairly close print-wise, but she definitely looks a lot more hologram-like, so I'd say that's a plus. And Mega did a pretty good job, I would say. I think that's pretty solid. It's been a while since we got an actual Cortana in a set, and I'd say this is probably the best one we've gotten. I think it looks pretty good. I am still waiting to see where the weapon microfigure, nano, whatever you want to call it, comes out, but when we do, it'd be nice to get them side by side. But yeah, this is a really nice inclusion, and she pairs pretty well with Chief. So I think we've looked at most of the major details here. There is this turret. It's pretty much the same as you'd see on a Warthog. It can articulate all around, point down, point up, shoot wherever you need it to. There is enough space for Marines to walk around up here, Marines to walk here, Marines to walk over here. Even though you can't shoot the freaking gun, it's one piece, Mega. It's so annoying. But yeah, got plenty of space to pose figures around. You could fit plenty of Marines on here. Pretty cool. The front is pretty well done. There's some more supplies up here. So now I kind of want to look at size comparisons, and this is going to be difficult because this fills very much of my space here. So the first thing I want to do, and this is going to be the hard part, and also forgive all the dust on this, but here is the Halo Infinite Pelican This is so hard. There's like no space here. But the Pelican is definitely a little bit larger. I don't really know the canonical sizes here. I don't know if a Pelican can carry an elephant. I don't think so, but maybe it can. But yeah, it's bigger. The Pelican is bigger, like longer, and maybe less bulkier. This elephant is heavy. So that's the general size there. We have a Warthog. This is the red team rescue Warthog. And we have a Mongoose and another Mongoose, because the claim is that we can fit a Warthog and 2 Mongooses in this thing. So we're going to try that out. Before we do that, though, I want to park that back here. Park these up front. And here is the Halo Infinite Scorpion. It's the same colors. It uses the same tread system, too. So even though this is the Halo Infinite version, you can pair them. And I think that's pretty close based on the size charts that I looked at. It looks decent size-wise. And then, last but not least, the Hornet. So that is a full UNSC strike force right there. Throw in the Pelican, which I cannot actually physically throw in the Pelican because it will just not fit. But yeah, I think size-wise, this is pretty good. As I was building it, it felt like it was too small. I was like, I don't know. This looks like it's going to be too small. But in the end, I think it's a pretty respectable size. So now, let's see if we can get the Warthog and 2 Mongoose in here. So we have the ramp here. It stays folded up, but then you can just bonk, fold it down. I think they say to take this off, but I don't want to take it off, so I'm just going to fold it up. And then we will back this hog in. I'm using this one instead of the Razorback because, number one, my Razorback is taken apart right now, and number two, I wanted to use this one because this is more of a Bungie era hog. So we can just kind of do this, and this ramp just becomes a bit of a walkway, and the hog fits in there, and there's plenty of space to roll this up. The only thing that gets in the way is this spanner down here. The spanner has this peg that sticks out. So if you remove that, then you don't have to take the inside ramp off. You can just do that. And you can load people on 2 sides now, which is honestly kind of awesome. You just be like, run some people over here, hop in, lower the ramp, and deploy the hog. So that's awesome. I really like that. So we're going to leave that in there. And then we're also going to swap around to the front. And I think to do this, well, there's 1 Mongoose. Oh, we don't even have to move that. We do have to move this box of treads, though. The claim is correct. You can indeed fit a Warthog and 2 Mongoose. Now, what I want to know, though, is can I put a Marine on the Mongoose, right? And then deploy it, or have it parked in there with the Marine still sitting on it? Because that's the real question. Do we have to deploy the Mongoose first and then put figures on? Or can we fit them in there with the figures? Is there enough space? So that's what this Marine looks like on this Mongoose, by the way. These are technically Halo Infinite Mongoose. And the one that they suggest you use is the Mongoose Outriders one, which is very Halo Infinite. But, so the guy lost his helmet again. And I can't really get him that far in. Can I get him to go any lower? And buddy, keep your helmet. The helmets just want to fall off. I think I might need to put a little bit of sticky tack in their head. Okay, so you can kind of do it, but they're right on the edge, on the verge of falling out. So, yeah, you can't really have them sitting on the Mongoose and then deploy, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it's also kind of understandable. I don't really know that it would have been worth the extra money and space to get them to fit, and it just looks like a huge maul. Also, you just kind of have to plop them out the front because there's not a ramp. And maybe that's how it works in Halo itself. But you'd have to load these from the back, and then you can deploy them from the front. So that's pretty cool, though. The claim is correct. I still find it odd that they suggest you use a Razorback and Mongoose Outriders. I guess that's just what is supposed to be available right now, so I guess it kind of makes sense. It's just weird. But I think that's pretty cool. I think the fact that we can fit all that in there is awesome. And obviously, you know, that's the Elephant's job. It is a troop carrier, so it does it. It does it well. The opening feature is nice too because you can get in from the side and it kind of almost becomes a base to a degree. Let me move all that. And let me show you real quick. You can use the crane for moving the crate. So that's nice. The pieces here are just held on by a clip. Open up. I do want to see it from the front. I haven't looked at this from the front opened up. That looks kind of funny, actually. It's kind of cool, though. Not gonna lie. I don't know. It's like it looks more like a base now. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think we've covered all the stuff that we need to cover here. I don't think I'm skipping over anything. We got some lights there. Yeah, I mean, this thing is huge. It is huge, and it looks pretty freaking awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, there you have it. That is the new UNSC Elephant Sandnest. So, let's talk about the price. The price is $200. That is retail. That is in US dollars. So, 200 USD is retail price. A little bit more if you order from somewhere like Toy Wiz, where it's like 220. I am not totally sure how I feel about that. I know when the price was first revealed, everybody was pretty ticked off that the price was so high. I believe the original one was 100. So that's a pretty big inflation. However, as far as I can tell, there are more pieces because some sections like these side panels were redesigned using actual parts. There are a lot more printed pieces as far as I can tell. Again, you can correct me if I'm wrong because I haven't had the older Elephant in a while. But I'm pretty sure there was a lot more stickers on there than there was prints. If there was any prints then. I don't remember exactly. But there's a lot of printing on here. The new treads also are a ton more pieces. Because the old ones were like a piece each. And these new ones, there's literally 104 of these treads. And then of course the new figures, the new articulation figures have more pieces. So there are more. There's just more in here. And then also inflation is a thing, so that adds as well. But I gotta say 200 feels a little steep. Yes, this thing is huge. It's got a lot of great figures, but I feel like for the $200 price tag, at least one more Marine would have been nice. One more. So that with Johnson included, we could have had a little squad. Maybe a pair of Elites would have been good to add on as well. I don't know. It just feels like it needs more figures. There's one less figure in this set than there was for the old one. I believe there was 6, if I counted correctly, 6 figures for the old Elephant. And this one has 5. So, yeah, I would have really liked to see one more. Just one more at least. That would have made the 200 price tag feel a little bit more palatable. As it is, it's not horrible. If this were a Lego set, this is 2,041 pieces. If this were a Lego set, it'd be $300 at least. So it's not the worst. Like I was saying, the parts tolerances do feel like older Mega. They don't feel cheap necessarily, but they're not wanting to stick together as easily. So that's a bit of a downside. The rubber band thing is weird, but it is what it is. I don't know. It's just odd. The whole play feature of like springing this up, I don't know. That's a little weird to me. The fact that there's a little Cortana is pretty fantastic. Actually, let me stick her over here with Chief, assuming that I can. Bro, take your AI. There we go. Okay. Yeah, there we go. That's more like it. And the printed piece with truth is fantastic. Yeah, so as a whole, I would say this is a good set. I think it's pretty well rounded. The design is pretty nice, and I don't really find any major flaws with it. There are definitely some fiddly bits while putting it together, and it's not, like I was saying, it's not an easy build. It takes a long time. There's some repetitive parts, but if you put on some music or something and just kind of build, pay attention, it's not too bad. It's a long build, and you probably want to take some breaks. I really just tried to grind this out as quickly as possible to get this review out to you guys. But yeah, it's a project, and thank goodness there's not an alternate build. Oh my gosh. Alternate builds, honestly, I haven't reviewed some of the alternate builds, particularly for like the Scorpion, just because they don't look that great. And taking apart the main build for that and then having to put the main build back together, it's just a lot of work, and the alts are not that great. At least there haven't been one. Like the Pelican alt was pretty fantastic, but other than that, it's been like, it's not great. But yeah, as a whole, if I were rating this out of 10, I would probably give it an 8.5 or a 9. Reason I say 8.5, lack of extra figure or two. I think that would have really helped this set a lot. Also, if Chief had a little bit more detail, like some silver scratching, like extra stuff, I would have rated it higher maybe. But in terms of like being a successor to the original one, I say it does its job pretty well. Also, the fact that it matches the new Hornet is fantastic, and that Mega is kind of uniformly using the metallic green. It's pretty cool. So, as a whole, pretty solid set, but it is definitely not going to be a quick buy for a lot of you. I'm guessing like it's a lot of money to put down, and you can go and spend a fraction of the amount and get yourself a really nice Hornet and some really awesome figures. If you just want some Halo stuff, I would recommend this over the Elephant. But this is like the hardcore collector's set. It's essentially a Signature Series set, so you're paying for the Signature Series set. It just doesn't have the name on it. And then, like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't know where this is going to be available. There are a couple places that have it for pre-order. I haven't heard anything about it showing up on Mattel Creations or in stores. I mean, these giant sets never show up in stores anyway. Even back when there were sets like the Pelican didn't really show up in many stores. I know there was a few places that got it, but that big of a thing, stores just don't really want to buy. So I don't know where we can buy this yet. I got this from Popcorn 8. Like I said, he may have more, he may restock, but it's going to be kind of a race per se to get the ones that he does have when he stocks them. So I guess we're going to wait and see. I don't really know. I mean, that's just kind of what we're doing right now in the Mega community, is just wait and see. I will say though, don't pay more than like the retail prices. I'd say $220 is absolute max. If you really want the Elephant, $220. Don't go paying like $300 to $400 for this. It's just not worth it. So hopefully we see this available on Mattel Creations, because the Phantom was on there, so it would make sense for them to get that this one on there, because that one was on there. So we'll see. But for now, this is a pretty good set. It was worth the wait, I would say. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.